everybody. How is everybody doing? We are back here again. After I missed 1 week because I was traveling, but we are here again, and we're going to talk about the present. The present. Oh, not the past, not the future. The present.
Exactly.
Or as
Yeah.
they say, the heat of the moment. So who wants to go first? Bobby, you would like to go first?
Well, sure. Um, Sometimes when Ella asks us to recommend topics, I like to recommend something I need to work on. Being present, because here I've got these three fabulous women to listen to and learn from. Um, and it was funny, just before we started, I remember Rick Pitino, the basketball coach, was the coach here in Louisville for years and years and years. And I remember he had all of his players read this book called The Precious Present. And if you just saw that title, you'd be thinking about, oh, somebody gave me a really nice gift, some jewelry or
Yeah,
an heirloom or something like that. And no, that was one of the most important parts of his coaching technique, was to keep those guys in the moment, for 40 minutes at a basketball game. And uh, and then, I started thinking about it because I really struggle with it. And the reason why is because I transitioned late in life. And for all of those years leading up there, I found myself lost in the past or the future. I would be obsessing about the past, like, what happened to me? Why do I have to live with this? Who can I blame for being trans? And I'd be lost in the past. And when you're a kid and everything and trying to work through all of that, it's like you could spend a lot of time like, why me? Why me? Why did this happen? I was lost in the past, or I was lost in the future. Well, one of these days I'm going to be able to figure out how to get hormones or breast or these surgeries, and so I'd be lost in this daydream. And the reason is the present was a very painful place for me to be, because I was fake. The whole time I was in the present, I was a fake person. And so I kind of hardwired my brain over decades to either be lost in the past or lost in the future, and never really much in the present. And that can cause a lot of problems in your relationships. Where are you? You're off in La La Land or so. Come back to me. And I've really had to work on that a lot with meditation. And there's some really great books out there, like Ram Dass. Oh, this is a long time ago, back in the early 70s, did Be Here Now. And Eckhart Tolle has a whole lot to say about that. And I get started reading those things. And I get lost in the future, say, oh gosh, wait, I've got to do this and do that. And the next thing I know, I'm not being present much longer. But what I have discovered is that is something I really need to work on, because it does affect every single one of our relationships, because people can tell when you're there with them, whether you're really there or whether you're lost somewhere. And so that's something that I really need to work on, because the present is really all we have, this moment. And that's where the power is. And I thought, well, let me see what Jimmy and Raji and Ella have to say about that, because I am not a master of being present by any means. I'm trying to, so I'm taking advantage of your all's wisdom. That's what I'm doing. So shower me with wisdom.
We try to wisdom you as much as we can. Who's going to go next? You gonna go, Jim?
Bobby said something pretty wise. In the present is where the power is.
Yes.
So if there's past, present, and future, and you divide your attention 33% past, 33% present, and 33% future, you're robbing yourself of your full potential.
Mm-hmm.
Live in the here and now. And I know a lot of folks, the wish, coulda, shoulda, woulda, or however that phrase goes. I wish I would have done something different in the past, or when we're dreaming of the future. And I will say this, that it is important for the human to dream. It's important to dream and then dream some more, because it's in our dream, our imagination, our dreams is how we cultivate our future. So we cultivate our future in the present. We can't change the past. And how I kind of look at the past is good, bad, or indifferent. All things are necessary to become the person that we are now. And the present is the engine that runs all things. If we stay in the present, in the moment, like there's only now, 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 and forever. There's only now, and the future hasn't happened yet. But I do believe in my experience on this planet that our thoughts cultivate our reality. Our thoughts cultivate our future, how it all works. So it is important to dream. And I know at the gym, years ago at the gym, you would see in between sets, like you're resting between your exercise. You would, like, when you're exercising, your body's flooded with endorphins, your brain becomes more receptive to ideas, more open. You're open for the information of the ethers to flow through our mind.
Yeah.
And so what I see now is a lot of folks are on the phone or watching YouTube videos or something, where they're robbing themselves of that potential connection to the cosmos. And I think right now, or at some point in the very near future, we're in a cosmic planetary alignment. Somehow, I don't think all the planets, but a majority of them are all lined up. And I with that kind of magnetic pull, the universe is a magnetic field. We are electric magnetic creatures. I don't know what's going to happen, or I don't know how many once in a billion years this happens, or someone needs to research it, but I know it's a rare occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
But the planets are going to line up, and so that is like how the universe presents itself as now. So this is an interesting topic. And back to Ella.
Yep, it is a very interesting topic. And Raj, would you like to go?
Well, if you insist.
I do.
So yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not come. All we have is the eternal now. And I think for a lot of people, I would say a good percentage of people don't embrace the moment.
Right.
A lot of people are living in the past, actually, with regrets. Maybe something traumatic happened to you and you relive that over and over again. It's a lot of that goes on. And then, of course, there's people that are thinking about, oh, tomorrow and next year and that sort of thing. And Jimmy said something which I certainly believe, is that it is important to what I call pre-pave or create. So you're in the moment and you're creating the future. Okay. And so that is powerful to do, because I think that, we have the ability we're creators. We were all given these brains, these minds, and the ability to create. So it's important to do, but I think everyone can relate to being out with somebody, like out to dinner or out to lunch, and you're talking to the person that you're out with, and you can tell that they're not with you. Like they're there physically, but they're just not with you. And you could probably also relate to being out with someone and they're constantly on their phone. You
Hmm.
know, we live in a world today where it's very technological. I I've like misplaced my phone a number of times, and I swear to God, it's like the world is ending. Like I lost a piece of an appendage of mine. Like, oh, my phone, my phone. And we hold on to these phones. They're very important to us. They have. Who would have thought we would have been able to walk around with computers in our hands when I was growing up? I mean, we had a house phone. Now we have this phone that we carry that's basically a computer. But what I have tried to do, because I have had moments where after the experience, I think, God, I wasn't fully there. Like I could have enjoyed that a lot more if I had put my phone away and if I had quieted my mind and really, got into the moment, what was actually happening. And those are the important, the meaningful parts of our lives. When you connect with friends or family, or you go on a trip, you have an experience that's supposed to be really great, but because your mind's all over the place, you're not able to really enjoy it. When it's all said and done, those are the things that mean the most to us. You know what I mean? Like those
Mhm.
special moments where, like, God, I remember that dinner with mom, or I remember, going out with my best friend for many years, and now they're gone. And so I think it's to everyone's benefit to try to find ways to be more present. And it's a practice thing for me. I have to practice. Like there's times where I'm out and I'm checking my thing, and then I'll stop and I'll say, put your phone away, like not out loud, but to myself in my mind, and I'll put it away because you know, it's those special moments that we really want to try to embrace. So, on that note, I'll send it back to Ella, and I'm sure I'll have more to say later on.
Surely, surely.
Jamie, I looked it up about your planetary alignment. It's supposed to be on January the 25th, so next week. Uh,
Ooh,
it's a rare planetary alignment featuring Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Mercury will occur. So that is it's a very rare, indeed, a very rare thing.
does
I
it
don't,
say? Does
I
it
don't,
does it say how often it occurs?
I don't have the information here,
Okay,
but
okay. I was
it
just
just says it is a very rare
very
thing,
rare. Okay.
very rare alignment. Um, it doesn't
So
say.
so the cumulative gravitational pull has got to be immense.
Mhm.
And Raji said some really cool stuff. I know Ella, you're coming up, but I think these. I wrote a Instagram post many years ago. The idea, if you go to a bar, you put your phone on the bar, you can tell the person who's disciplined leaves it face down on the bar and then engages the folks around them. I don't know how many times I've been having dinner at a bar or go to a bar. You look down the bar, everyone's staring at their phone.
Yes, I
So
know.
they're at the bar, but their brain's somewhere else.
Mhm.
Engage the people next to you. There's always there's always going to be a fascinating conversation that comes up.
Yeah. The other day I was in a restaurant and there were two people, obviously probably married or girlfriend and boyfriend, and they were just both looking at each other's, and I was kind of thinking, why the hell do they go out? Because I mean, they don't even talk to each other.
Mhm.
They can stay home and be on their phones, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I think this theme is really quite interesting because I've been reading actually quite a lot about very famous people, and very famous people um, actually tell about how important the present is. The present,
Mhm.
living the moment, living, be totally attentive to your environment, be attentive to yourself. Because I mean, the past is really great. It's the kind of memory of it's the old things you've done. I have a tendency myself to forget a lot about what I've done before.
Mhm.
And until there is something which brings me, I'm in a similar situation, and it comes the deja vu thing, and I react based on the experience that I have. Yeah, it is a source of information that you have from the past, but it's gone. You cannot change it. It's there. It's
Mhm.
beautiful, or I mean, I had a beautiful past, and I'm not complaining at all about that. But I mean, I've learned a hell of a lot of things. Believe me.
Mhm.
But it's gone. It's the future. Well, it's not here yet.
Mhm.
Sometimes in my life, I was trying to prepare for my future more than I was preparing for my present. And what happened? Very often, nothing. Because when you're preparing for the future, yeah, it's okay. You should give some thought about the future, mainly where you want to go, where you want to be, how do you want to react? But in the end, it things fall the way they have to fall in the present, and it's when you are actually experiencing those things. So why not concentrate on your present? You know, sometimes it's just things happen. I give you an example. This morning I had at 6:30 in the morning, very early in the morning, I had my Indian colleagues
Mhm.
phoning me and having all kinds of different issues and different problems and different things that we had to resolve. And just like everything else, you just go, you've got a challenge, and you have to solve the challenge, and that is your moment. That is what you're doing that time. You have something coming at you, and you have to solve it and put it in the right place. Sometimes you are creating something to make sure that you have something important,
Mhm.
but it is your present which is always there to remind you to go into the next step, because the present is a continuous journey. The present has changed 5 minutes afterwards and becomes the past. Never forget that. But
Mhm.
what is the present? It's a continuous film going all the way through. And thank God for that, because I think that we do need to have those continuous films. And sometimes you have to correct them a little bit. And I mean, for me, every day is a little challenge somewhere. And every day I am glad to get over. And that is my everyday present. Back to you all. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say, address something about people living in the past and living, especially in traumatic experiences of the past. Because the traumatic experience happens, right? It happens. And then it's over, it's the past. But what a lot of people do, and I've done it myself, is I continue to remember it and actually relive it. Our brains, when we're remembering things, the brain doesn't necessarily differentiate the experience from, like, oh, that happened, as opposed to it's happening now. So that's why people that live in the past and traumatic experiences, their bodies will react to, like, like it's actually happening in the moment when it happened maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago. So one way to release that, my therapist helped me with this, is to say to yourself, really, the past doesn't exist. Like, really, it doesn't, because it happened. But like the players, like, let's say, you were abused by your dad, or whatever the case is, that person could be long gone, right? And the person that's remembering the experience continues to traumatize themselves. So I would just say, like, if you're living in the past, try to work on getting to the present and letting go. Yes, every single experience that we go through makes us who we are in this very moment. But that's all the past is good for. The rest of the stuff, you could just let that go. The negative stuff. There's, of course, like sweet memories, of course, we want to hold on to. The positive things that can be beneficial to our emotions in the moment. So, of course, by all means, remember those sweet moments. But again, the power is in the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one thing that Raji said is very true. The human brain cannot tell the difference between a reality and a thought or imagination.
Yeah.
And every time that we relive a negative experience, we give it more power.
Mhm.
And that's why our self-talk is the most important conversation we're ever going to have, because the universe is listening. If we talk ill of ourselves or uh, share stories that have negative consequences, we actually give them that energy power. And also the cortisol and all the other chemicals, the stress release chemicals in our body are all released. I see people that are getting all bent out of shape or reliving, telling me something that's messed up, and I'm like, man, I'm watching your hairs turn gray right in front of me. Your hairs are turning gray right in front of me. Calm down. And that's the same. That's the same with worry. All these emotions and thought patterns all are hypothetical, and I think it's human nature to kind of default into the worst case scenario thing, and it never happens. And I know, I send a text message to a client or somebody and I don't hear back, and you immediately assume they don't want the job done, or, and meanwhile their phone was on silent or whatever. So there's optimistic. I think the optimistic person has more of a tendency to live in the present, because again, the past doesn't exist, the future hasn't happened yet, and all things in life happen in the here and now. Nothing happens in the past and nothing happens in the future. It's all right now.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Well, I knew this would be a good thing to talk about with you all because you remind me of so many things. And Raji, I'm glad you mentioned trauma because God knows so many of us are carrying around a boatload of trauma for one reason or another. And I've I've worked with really tough kids for a long time, and the ones that have my heart are the kids in the foster care system who are wards of the the abuse and the torture and things like that that they endured until the authorities discovered it and said, "Your family is going to jail and you're coming with us."
Yeah.
And horrible, horrible, incomprehensible things. And most people are clueless about how many children in their state are wards of the state. Nobody wants them. And
Yeah.
so when you talk about people that have a whole lot of past to overcome, oh my gosh. And I have met really, I've got two especially really good friends who were sex trafficked as children, and now they're in their 50s. And the terror that they feel, it's like everybody that hurt them is in dead or will die in prison, and they're still terrified. mention a thing about it. And so I don't want to pretend that, uh, you know, uh, we all have wonderful lives and there's no reason to be caught up in the past and the trauma. And Jimmy is exactly right, because I was reading a study this week about how stress and having stressful jobs can really affects your nervous system at the molecular level. You will damage yourself. You will shorten your lifespan if you live in the past and keep recreating all of that stuff. And so I was at this big foster care facility in Cincinnati on Monday, and I'm on their treatment team. I'm as a board of trustees meeting, and so we kind of do oversight of everything that's going on. I'm real interested in the treatment stuff that's going on, and there's so many great therapies out there right now, especially designed to help people uh, get over those kinds of trauma. Like EMDR is the one that's really taken off right now, and that can that can really help people in as many as one session. They were telling me about a kid that was just viciously attacked by a dog and really hurt, and now they're scared to leave the house. And and that's been going on for months. They're just scared to go outside. Well, I can understand that. And so, um, with the EMDR thing, though, it was like they were fixed after the first session, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's glorious. That is glorious. And so, uh, I just wanted to mention to people, I know this world is full of humans that have endured incomprehensible trauma, and maybe you have tried everything and it didn't work, but it's things are getting better all the time, and I just wanted to encourage people, if you really are just you can't get over the stuff that happened to you. There is better help out there now than ever, and so I just wanted to encourage people to do that, and to just be sure to acknowledge that none of us were born and raised in a fairy tale. We all have our stuff, but some people have it just unbelievable, the things that other people have done to them, and I get that, and so I know that's hard to shake off, and I just wanted to encourage people to go back and revisit therapy, because there's a lot of really good stuff going on right now. EMDR isn't the only thing. And I know this isn't a mental health show, and I don't want to get caught up in procedures and everything, but there's a lot out there. And then, all of you are right. The power is here in the present. The ability to set our course and determine our future, that's here in the present. And I, like I say, I struggle with that, and I get lost in depression or procrastination or one thing or another, and so I've really got to work on it. I'm one of those people that is easily lost in the stuff that has happened to me, or lost in the future, like how wonderful things are going to be when I get here. And just real quickly, that was the other thing. It was like um, people with autism nail me constantly, because they live in the present for the most part, and they have no filter, and so uh, they, they will. I love them. I love them because they have no filter. But boy, I hear a lot of stuff from them, and and that's where I realize that when you're not present, you are hurting your relationships. And something as simple as I know several families that now the dinner table is like no one is allowed to bring their cell phone to the dinner table. And that, oh my gosh, that's just an outrageous to so many teens. But that firm parenting going on there, and it's exactly like that, because this is your family. Be here now. We're not all going to be together forever. So be here now, and that there are a lot of really helpful things like that. And our smartphones are really doing a lot of damage right now, and we don't need that. It's like we have got to be present and bold and confident and moving forward and making this world a better place. And so That's really why I wanted to talk about it, because I've been nailed about not being present many times. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, but many of the people, I mean, I admire the courage of people which have been in a trauma situation, then get over,
Mhm.
because it needs a lot of courage. It needs a lot of uh, thoughtfulness, courage, and I do I do agree that they need to get some kind of help to get over that sometimes.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's not always easy, but I mean, it is a very important point
Mhm.
to get that courage and get over it and try to live your present now and your reality, because anyway, and all the reality is subjective, but um it is a kind of, you know it is your life, and don't waste it. I mean, if you are just concentrating on past things, you're actually wasting it a little bit, because you are not going and evolving the way that other people you're supposed to.
Mhm.
And well, listen to yourself.
Yeah. Well,
That's a
that
good
you're there. There is a part for the past. I was there's this great story in the Old Testament. Probably everybody's heard about David and Goliath. And Goliath is like 9 feet tall, and David's this little bitty thing, strong but he's small. And there's a thing there where it's like, why isn't anybody challenging this giant? How dare you let him talk that way to us? And he says, wait, I've killed a bear with my bare hands. I've killed a lion with my bare hands. I think I can handle this giant. And then we all know how the story goes from there. But those sort of things too are real helpful. Like, now, wait a minute, I've done this and I've done that. And I've run this fast before or jumped this high before. And all right, I'm going to try this. And so a real quick reminder about your capabilities is always helpful, but just don't stay lost there. So,
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but it should be just a reminder, yeah.
mhm.
Okay, with those, let's have our last round. It's been a really nice, interesting conversation about the present. Who wants to go first for the last round?
I'll go ahead and what I'm thinking about here is I'm listening to my fellow panelists. Uh, um, our ability to contribute to our society. If we're living in the past, we're robbed of our ability to contribute to the present. If we're in a dream state and our mind is in the future, we're not going to be able to make a contribution in the present. So, as an example, I'm in the grocery store parking lot, and if I'm present, I see abandoned grocery carts. I can collect them and bring them into the store and make a contribution. If my brain's somewhere else, my body's walking from the car to the grocery store, I'm not going to be able to make these contributions. That's just a simple example. But the idea is the collective contributions we make to our society are all made in the present.
Yeah.
Stay in the present, and we can make contributions repeatedly. And as Raji put it, the eternal present.
Yeah.
Ella.
Next.
Well, I'll go. So the powerful moments in time. I have moments in time that were just fleeting, like experiences with someone that I saw in that moment and then never saw again, but the memory and the experience of the moment stays with me. It's still with me. Real quick, I'm like 18 years old. My uncle comes to visit. I grew up in Philly. He's like, I'm taking you all to New York tomorrow. So it was my sister, myself, two cousins of mine, and my uncle. We went to New York to sightsee. So lunchtime comes, and he's like, well, why don't we go get something to eat? We end up at this Chinese restaurant. So I'm sitting there, and we're eating, with my family. And there's an older gentleman, like almost elderly. I think he might have been like 60s, 70s, Yeah, I think more like 70s actually, like and even maybe hitting 80. He was up there. And he kept staring at me and I'm thinking like I was very at that age, you're very self-conscious and I saw him looking and I'm like eating and like trying to ignore it and then he said something to my uncle and then he says, "I want to tell you something." And he points at me and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what is he going to say?" And he says, don't take life too seriously. In other words, like don't sweat the small stuff. And he says, look around. He says, a baby, even a baby born today in 100 years, probably won't be here. So he says, don't take life too seriously and embrace the moment. And I'm going to tell you, that guy is probably long gone. He's probably transitioned. This was many years ago. I don't want to give away my age, but I'm up there now, many years ago. And I still remember the moment. I still remember that. And that's what I'm talking about, the beautiful moments in time. So be in the moment, Ella.
Yes. Your last words, Bobby.
Oh, well, thank you all so much for wanting to talk about this because I've really needed it. Uh, it was um, when I was lost in the future. It's like, well, one of these days I'm going to transition. One of these days I'm going to have some surgery. One of these days I'm going to be out and open and I'm not going to have to hide anymore. And one of these days, life is going to be wonderful. And then all of a sudden here in the last year, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm there. It's like, wait, I got there. I'm there. It's like, well, what am I going to do now? And it's like, and that's why I wanted to hear your all's thoughts on it because it's like I don't have to worry about life is going to be like in the future anymore. It's like, gosh, I got there. Now I need to be present and make the best of the time that I've got left. And so, um, I just had been obsessing about that for the last 2 or 3 days. I thought, I wonder if Ella would want to talk about this. So I'm glad you all were agreeable tonight. You're my therapy group here.
Yeah. No, it's a very good theme. It is really very good theme. And just to finalize, yeah, leaving the moment is always very important. And yeah, there was a time as well which I was telling one day I'll transition. Now I've done it. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I am very happy to have done it, and I am very happy of my life now. Uh, you know,
Mhm.
and I really try to live the moment and every single moment and appreciate it and have fun and positivity and enjoy abundance or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
gratefulness too, because you have to be grateful for what you have. And that's also, I think these are the three important things in life. Okay, with those words, I will see you next week. We're coming back next week again. And thanks a lot for watching Transgurus and namaste.
Peace and
Namaste.
blessings.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.